We have a lot of good examples in recent years of countries that had either a very slowly growing or a relatively stable population and still had a certain amount of economic growth. So for instance, Germany, Italy hasn't grown that much in recent years, and yet certainly Germany has one of the strongest economies in Europe. Several of the Nordic countries as well have grown quite slowly. So I think as an empirical matter, I think you can have growth, economic growth, without population growth.
Europe right now is suffering from a population implosion. And it's going to lead to the bankruptcy of the continent, and we're already seeing this. And it's obvious why. They have all these social security systems, and they're all based on people who are working, paying to supply income to those who are not working, and in particular those who've retired. Now, you know, and we're beginning to face this here too, but it's much more extreme there, precisely because of the low rate of population growth. When, you know, we first passed Social Security in this country, I don't know the number, but there were maybe 50 workers for every person that would be on Social Security. And now it's like 6 or something. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but that's the trend. And in Europe, it's much worse than that. And this is completely unsustainable. In the old days, one reason why people had children, in addition to wanting to have children, because children are a great joy in life, is that they would support you when you get older. Now, it's still the case that children support people when they get older, okay? But we've socialized it. Now people depend on other people's children to support them when they get older. And, you know, someone once said the problem with socialism is when you run out of other people's money to spend. Well, then another problem is when you run out of other people's children to support you.
What is your own position? Do you want the United States population to decline?
Long term, I would like to see that over centuries.
What's optimum in the United States of America?
I think that's very hard to say. I think that's very hard to say. But
if you put that graph on a down slope, at some point, can't we expect that you would tell us when you would want the down slope to go level?
I don't know enough to answer that. Here's what I would say. I think it's very important for us to have enough children and workers to support ourselves and our retirees. That's an important consideration. I think it's important that we find a way to live sustainably on this landscape. And finally, I think it's important that we live generously. We leave enough habitat and other resources for other species. So we have to make all that work. And I'm not sure exactly what the optimal population is for that. And what the scientists are telling us is that over the next couple hundred years, if we continue on the path we're taking, we're on track to really massively change the climate and ratchet up temperatures. So I think that's what our focus has to be. Now, there are these further questions about longer term cycles. My understanding, and I'm not a climate scientist, but my understanding is those cannot be predicted based on the Earth's path around the sun.
Carl Sagan used to say that all species either become spacefaring or extinct. And the broader point there is, unless a species establishes greater power over nature, there are things that can happen, ice ages, asteroidal impacts, etc., that we will not have the capability of averting. So in order not to be helpless in the face of these massive catastrophes, we have to have a species with much greater capabilities, technological, industrial, material capabilities. That is the only way to avoid real natural disasters.